Supreme Court saying that there should be a stay. So it's an interim victory for the protesters. The Supreme Court announcing a stay on the demolition.
So that continue speaking to us, because what we are getting to know that a notice has also been issued to the state of Uttarakhand.
Absolutely. So this matter will drag on for quite some time now. Amita, a stay has been issued on the demolition. So this is at least temporarily a big relief and a victory for the protesters and the people who claim that they've been living there for decades. So the railways cannot proceed with the demolitions. The Uttarakhand state government will also have to take a step back, and proceedings will once again be initiated in terms of the inspection of documents and who actually is the rightful owner of that particular piece of land where these protesters have now been living for an extended period of time. So a massive relief so far in terms of the stay being issued on the demolitions. Notices have been issued to the railways as well as the Uttarakhand state authorities. So this would basically mean that a time period will now be given to both these institutions to come back and reply with those notices. So this matter will now drag on in the Supreme Court, and while it drags on, the people living in that piece of land have managed to in fact achieve a temporary victory.
So for now, it's a victory for the protesters. The Supreme Court has also clarified that the High Court order has been stayed. Proceedings under Public Premises Act can go on. So for now, the encroachment will not be cleared. First reactions coming in.
As we continue to play out those live reactions, Siddharth, important to note what the Supreme Court clarification has been, that a stay has only been put on the High Court order that was released in 2022 December. Only on that is the stay that has been put on.
Yeah, and that's an important verdict or a temporary order that's been issued by the Supreme Court here, Amita, because the Uttarakhand High Court had clearly given directions to all the authorities in question to in fact go ahead with clearing out the encroachments. So if a stay has been imposed on the Uttarakhand High Court order by the Supreme Court, it basically means that the demolitions and the clearing of the encroachments will not proceed until the authorities have replied to the notices issued to them by the Supreme Court and the investigations actually conducted as to who this land rightfully belongs to and whether or not certain alternative measures can be taken by the Uttarakhand authorities as well as the railways to in fact rehabilitate the concerned protesters or the people who've been living on this piece of land for an extended period of time.
Okay,
so if a stay has been issued, it means that the demolitions and the clearance of the encroachments cannot go ahead until that stay remains.
Okay, let's talk about the key takeaways from this verdict of the Supreme Court for now. Bhavtosh, there's going to be no demolition. So for the protesters, it's an interim victory because the Supreme Court has stayed the proceedings. This means that the encroachments will not be cleared. Apart from that, the Supreme Court also observing that over 50,000 people cannot be uprooted overnight. That's the statement that the top court has made.
Yes, Pratibha, in fact, the Supreme Court went into the entire issue and they have found that the very fact that people who have been staying in Haldwani on the railway land have been doing so for past 115 years. Look, this entire issue has not cropped up just a few years back or a decade back. This entire issue goes back 115 years back, and the very fact that the petitioners in fact has the raised issue of the Nazul land, saying that since Haldwani did not have any kind of revolt in 1857, they are the rightful owners. The petitioner, the issue was first raised by a petitioner way back in 2013 when he had raised the issue of illegal mining, and then subsequently he's raised the issue that that railway land has been occupied. So that issue has also been in a way addressed by the Supreme Court. Another important fact that Supreme Court looked into
just coming back to you, Bhavtosh, just coming back to you, we're still getting more live updates from the Supreme Court. A month later now we are told that the matter will be once again taken up in the court. Siddharth.
Yes, Amita, that's a big update. The next hearing in this matter will be heard in the Supreme Court on the 7th of February. So that's more than a month now, and therefore therefore, the stay will at least last until the 7th of Feb. So for the time being, these encroachments will not be cleared by the authorities concerned. They've also been given time to reply to the notices issued by the Supreme Court. So therefore, the Uttarakhand authorities as well as the railways will now have to do their due diligence in terms of submitting all the documents pertaining to the ownership of the land, perhaps even come out with certain alternative measures that can be prescribed, since this is now a humanitarian issue, to rehabilitate or compensate the people who've been living there.
Okay, all right. Going across to Mohit Bhatt also, who's on the broadcast with us. Mohit, the Supreme Court, of course, has said that no demolition of the encroachments will be taking place until the next hearing on February 7th, but also saying ensure there are no further encroachments in the area.
शेरनी ही कहा जाएगा क्योंकि शेरनी शेरनी होती है और शेर शेर होता है।
Mohit.
कभी वो गीदड़ नहीं बनता।
Well, we have former Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, Harish Rawat, with us. He has been talking to us since morning, and he has been speaking about the whole issue. Sir, Supreme Court has put on a stay on the High Court order. How do you see this? Your first reaction to this?
Entire Uttarakhand is feeling relieved. It is a great justice. It is a supreme justice of Honorable Supreme Court. We all welcome this justice. And I was talking about the humanitarian aspect of this whole issue, and I was trying to bring in Honorable Chief Minister to do something on this contest now. अब भी यदि Chief Minister जो है इसको समझें और इस काम को एक ह्यूमैनिटेरियन कंसिडरेशन से लेकर के आगे बढ़ें और उनको कैसे हम इस समस्या का समाधान निकाल सकते हैं उसको एक प्रायोरिटी के बेसिस पर हल करें तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जो न्याय दिया है उसका भी आदर होगा और गरीबों के घर भी बच जाएंगे.
So that was the first reaction coming in from former Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, Harish Rawat.